Hi and welcome to this session on marketing your business. My name's Alison and I work for White Rose Retail Consultants, and I've got over 30 years of experience in the retail trade, ranging from UK high street brands through to international brands in the Middle East, India and Australia. So today we're going to talk about marketing your business, and we're not talking about advertising and all the standard stuff. We're talking about the stuff that we can do that may be much cheaper, free, different ways that you can think about marketing your business than the standard ones. So we're going to cover your ideal customer, because your ideal customer is the basis of everything that you do. The messages that you send out through your marketing and your interactions with customers need to be focused on your ideal customer and what they want and expect. It's more than about just adverts. It's about advocates, collaborations, cross-promotions, opportunities, and social media and the power of community. So we've talked about your ideal customer in previous sessions. We'll talk about them again, because everything that you do needs to be directed at your ideal customer. If you send messages out that are not directed at your ideal customer, what's the point? You're missing the target. You need to be very targeted with your marketing messages. So who is your ideal customer? The one who comes in on a regular basis and spends money, or the one-off purchaser that makes a big, large value item purchase? It could be either one of those. You need to think about who they are so that you're able to quantify them to make sure that your message is targeted. Your ideal customer will depend on what you're selling and how. So if you think about a t-shirt, for example, if you're selling a 10 quid t-shirt on the market, your ideal customer will be very different to if you're selling a designer branded t-shirt from a posh shop in a mall. You're two different customers, two different ideal customers, so your messages will be very different. People can be motivated by different things. Culture plays an enormous role in people's behaviour. If you take the British as a general rule of thumb, generally time is a construct, it's a resource. So we can save time, we can spend time, we can use time. But to other cultures, time means nothing. So telling somebody that a product will save them time, to one culture will be brilliant, that's perfect. To another culture, well, that means nothing. To some cultures, negative things, you don't talk about negative things, we don't discuss negative things. So if you want to approach your marketing saying, this is a brilliant stain remover, it'll get rid of all your stains, that's great if you don't mind people knowing that you've got stains, or you're not bothered about that thing. But culturally, some other cultures will be turned off completely because you don't address that type of negativity in a public format. So you've got to be aware of who your audience is to make sure that your message is targeted correctly. And understanding who you're trying to sell to means that your marketing message is going to reach the right people. And that in turn means you'll convert into sales. So your ideal customer we've talked about previously, but knowing stuff like how old they are, where do they live, what job do they do, what car do they drive, where do they go on the holidays, do they have any pets, are they vegetarian, what social media do they use, what newspapers do they read, do they have any grandchildren or children, what's the favourite TV programme, all that kind of stuff. It's getting under the skin of the ideal customer so that the messages that you send out resonate. And it's about more than just adverts. So marketing is about more than just advertising. So have a think about creative ways that you can come up with to get your business in front of your ideal customer. And people can, as I've said, people can be motivated by different things, and culture plays a part. Stuff like Google My Business, it's a no-brainer, it's free. Get your business on Google so that when somebody searches for something, you come up on the map with a little pin so that you're there, visible. Selling online. Get your branding. Make sure any branding that you've got in the store around your logo, your colours, your fonts, anything like that, make sure that that's replicated in your online presence. And that can be either on social media or other selling platforms. Make sure your image size is the optimum image size so that when people load your web page, for instance, it's not lagging because you've got a huge image size. And focus on your checkout experience. The checkout experience is the one point where you lose the majority of your customers. If it's a clunky, badly designed, hard to navigate process, people get turned off and they'll leave the basket hanging. So you need to make it as easy as possible for people to part with their pennies. Search engine optimization, SEO, you'll be familiar with it, I'm sure, but if you use online platforms, make sure you're optimizing the search engine function by using the keywords. And if you're using images on online, make sure that you use correct file names. Don't just call it image 1, call it something that means something relating to the image, because search engines will search file names and alt text as part of their search facility. Also, if you use alt text to describe the picture, then for people who have visual disabilities, it allows the accessibility aspect to describe that picture for somebody who may not be able to see it clearly. So there are secondary reasons, very good reasons, for making sure that you use some of these functions, and they don't cost any money. We've talked about advocates. Advocates will do your marketing for you. Delivering through word of mouth and personal recommendation is so powerful. If your friend recommends something to you, you trust your friend. So if they say it's good, it's got to be good. So what is a good thing is to build advocates who are loyal to your brand, who can do your word of mouth marketing for you. If you think about TripAdvisor or Trustpilot, people go on there and give their honest feedback on services and places. And so if you want to know what real people think, and you know that it's generally real people, you go and have a look on those facilities to see what other people think. Peer reviews is a really strong place where you can build advocacy. And engage with the good and the bad reviews. And be positive about it. Don't just, if you get a bad review, don't be defensive and negative. Use it as a learning opportunity and try and address the issue, because that is an opportunity to turn somebody from negative into positive. And work with other businesses in your area, and you'll become each other's advocates. It seems strange to talk about working with your competitors or working with other businesses, but there's strength in community, and you should be trying to leverage all of these different things and using them to your advantage. And if you've got an online presence or you've got social media, if you're selling things that people can demonstrate them using it, wearing it, eating it, what they've made with it, use those images on your social media, because it saves you having to take the photos. If you can use somebody else's images of them proudly wearing a dress to a do, or some shoes, or reading a book that you've sold, this is good, positive advocacy. It's also, they'll be quite proud that they're on your social media, and they'll tell all the friends, but it just means that you don't have to then create content. People are creating content for you, and it's relevant content because it's actual customers. So collaboration and cross promotions. Can you work together with similar businesses in your area? I've said that before, and it does seem a little bit strange to say, well, why would I work with my competitor? It doesn't make sense. But it makes perfect sense, because they aren't necessarily your competitor. They're not selling exactly the same things as you are. They're selling similar, but not identical. And so there should be opportunities for you to work together with other businesses in the area to leverage the ability to harness their social media audience or their customer base and add it into yours so that you get more coverage, you get more bang for your buck, if you like. So leverage the complementary ranges. So if you've got a shop selling dresses and ladies wear, but you don't do shoes, but there's a local shop that sells shoes but doesn't sell dresses, work together. Get their shoes in your displays, get your clothes in their displays. It doesn't cost you minimal amount of money, but you've immediately extended your coverage and got yourself in front of a wider audience. And it makes sense to do that as often as you can. Leverage your social media audiences. Working with other brands. So there's a lady that I know who she works with a clothing brand, but she works with an awful lot of other people for shoes and accessories. So when she's doing some photos of her outfits, she's mentioning her shoes or her ring or her hairband or whatever accessory it is. So it's always the centerpiece is her clothing, but then there's the added elements of finishing off the outfit with somebody else's products that she doesn't sell. So there's a collaboration there. Collaborate on events. So fashion shows or makers collectives. If you've got a local artists network, have a local artists show. Have a catwalk show. Get some of you together, spread the load and multiply your ability to reach more audience. Run competitions together and cross-promote. So you might work with a local business and you may come to an agreement where if you spend £50 in shop A, you get £5 off when you spend 30 quid in shop B. Work on some of these opportunities. And then share marketing resources. If you can, if you're going to get somebody to come in and do some stuff, do it for a couple of businesses at the same time so you can share the cost and spread the load. There's all sorts of things that you can do outside of traditional kind of marketing to get your brand, your business in front of a different set of customers. Things like pop-up shops, country fairs, selling through an online marketplace that's suitable for your merchandise. So don't just sell through any online marketplace. Make sure it's suitable and it's where your target customer would shop. But use all these opportunities. Put your product in non-retail spaces. So if it's appropriate. So if you're a furniture maker, get your furniture into places where there's a lot of throughput of people who will see your product. If you sell coffee, for instance, get your product into guest houses. If you sell shampoos and conditioners, get them placed. If you're an artist, get your artwork on the walls of businesses around the area with details on where they can purchase your products from. Have a think about what you sell and if there's any opportunities for doing this cross-promotion and putting them in non-standard retail places. Depending on your product, if you can afford the services of a PR person, then consider it. If you target the correct press opportunities, the bang for your buck is pretty good. The coverage that you get, you'll be in front of a completely new audience. So it's worth thinking about whether there's a few of you that can pull your resources together for that sort of opportunity. And then network. Networking, it might be some people's dread. Other people might take to networking like a duck to water, but networking is a really good long-term strategy for building your brand and making people remember you, and it's a good opportunity for building all of these connections. And then use your customer testimonies and photos on your social media. We've talked about it before. There's a great opportunity here if you've got your actual customers demonstrating your actual products that you can use on your marketing material, your social media, etc. Then it means that you don't have to you provide the resources yourself. Somebody's providing content, but B, it just builds up the authenticity of the brand and the trust in the brand through the relationship with an actual real life customer rather than an actor or somebody pretending to be a customer. And talking about social media, make sure your images are clear and that they're the right resolution for the platforms that you're using. If there's two types of images that you can use. One is like a product cutout, which just shows the product, and then there's the lifestyle, which tends to be a product in a bit more of an interesting background. So it might be a kitchenware product in a kitchen. It might be somebody wearing an outfit in a garden. It's more than just the cutout. But if you are using cutouts, use something like Canva to take the background off so that you can maintain all your brand guidelines, you know, all your colours, the type of photo that you take, so that there's consistency in the way that you present your brand. And be consistent. Remember, we're generally really visual creatures, so having a consistent look will make sure that people recognise your brand without consciously recognising your brand. They'll see your colours, they'll see your style, and they'll know it's you. And that's quite important. And post regularly and use appropriate hashtags. And if you can use video because, like we say, people are very visual. They like to interact. And let's face it, the social media platforms like video because it keeps people on their platform for longer, and that is what their aim is. So what kind of resources are there out there that might help you? So there's loads of resources for digital media, for digital marketing. Some are free, some are paid for. But if you'd like some ideas of where to start looking, have a look at places like the Federation of Small Businesses, the Visit England Business Advice Hub, Enterprise Nation, the Small Business Saturday or Small Business Britain, Barclays Eagle Labs, NatWest and Tide, BT, C4DI, there's Umi, which is a paid-for platform, and then there's Northern Lass Lounge. So they're all resources that will help you with some of the challenges that you've got in terms of delivering on your retail business. They're worth having a look at. If you've got any questions about this or anything else that we've talked about, then please drop me a line at alison.laws@ymygrowthhub.com. Thank you.